everybody. Get my camera situated here. Hey, happy Sunday. I hope you all had a great Valentine's Day yesterday. Hopefully you got to spend some time with somebody you love and had a special day. And now we're on to the next holidays. You know, this is a busy week because tomorrow is President's Day, and then Tuesday, hey Lorraine, Tuesday is Fat Tuesday, so if you're in New Orleans or anywhere that throws Mardi Gras parties, you know that's a special day. We got our king cake for this year. And it's also Chinese New Year, which is kicking off. This is the year of the fire horse. So those little horse earrings we made, I think are so much fun for the year of the horse, right? Horses, little carved horses were all over the place at Tucson this year. I found them in a number of materials. Horses were very popular, so it was appropriate. All right. So if you saw at the beginning, I had the stuff displayed again for the sale. Today's the last day of the sale on the website, but it is not the last day I will offer the discounts. I will honor discounts if you order direct from me through the end of the month. And then everything's back to normal. So it is what it is. It will say on the website, if you're looking at the heart sign catcher kits, that there is low stock. I do have low stock on the website, but I do have the materials to restock them, so I will be doing that. So don't panic if you want, more than is there. I can offer all three of the blue, the purple, and the magic purple. And even the old pink one with different pink crystals. I might be able to do that if somebody really wants pink. Let me know. Anyways, today we're going to draw for week 7. It's hard to believe it's week 7 already, isn't it? So we're going to do that, and we will draw and see what we're going to make today. It's our last challenge card. So we're going to be flipping them over and starting anew with the whole pile next week. And so that's exciting. So we should be on time on Thursday. I don't have anything that makes that any different this week. So that's all good. Other announcements. Oh, so I thought I would also show a little way to use hearts to make a little pendant for St. Patty's Day. So we're going to do that today. And, don't panic if you don't have green hearts. I wouldn't have bought green hearts, except that I thought they might be fun to do a St. Patty's Day design with. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's go ahead and flip the camera and get going. All right. Since I came on a little late, as usual, All right. I was watching the Olympics, so I got started a little slow. I've been having fun. I know curling's really become popular this year, and I have to say 4 years ago, I really got hooked on curling, and I've had a lot of fun watching it. So apparently more people are into it because they're actually showing it on prime time these days. So that's fun. Anyways, even if you're not a sports person, watching the Olympics every once in a while is kind of fun. So remember, through today, it might actually be tomorrow. I have to double check what dates I put on there, but I think it's through today. If you go to desert-cat-creations.square.site and you put in code New Year 26, you'll get 26% off your order of one item. If you put in the code Double Fun, you will get 30% off 2 items. If you put in bundle 35, you'll get 35% off 3+ items. Now, if you order 3 items and you use the New Year 26, you're only going to get 26% off, okay? So the code matters, but you can't use the bundle 35 code off one item. It won't let you do that. So just say no. So that's our sale. But like I said, I will offer those discounts through the end of the year. And, you know, one of our features is our heart sun catchers, right? So we've got those guys. I think I do have the purple or the pink one here. And remember, I offered this one in pink and green. I might be able to come up with a green one if people really want that. But it'll be a little different design, and maybe I'll take a couple of these other things that are in here so I can lower the cost to match the rest. So these ones are all $10. This one was $12. Like I said, I think I do have one of this exact kit left. But anyways, we are going to play around. This is what we're going to make, some shamrocks. So that's going to be fun. You've been watching the curling too. But we've been doing really well this year. I guess we won in mixed doubles, so that's exciting. So apparently it's become quite popular in our country as well. All right, so every Sunday we draw for our Bead Stash Challenge design for the week. So our week 7 design we're going to draw for. Just a reminder, if you're new, Bead Stash Challenge is a selection of cards. So I actually have 5 decks of cards. If you're starting out, I recommend starting with deck 1. Or if you're one of those people who, you know, bought a bunch of stuff in Tucson or from people that went to Tucson and you don't know where to start, this is a great way to do it. If you get monthly kits, deck 1 works well with just a monthly kit. The other kits, we have some expansion, what I call expansion decks. So they're designed to work with this base deck. So we have the color expansion, which adds everything color to your design. So if you're one of those people like me who has a favorite color and would just design and wear that color all the time, this is the thing for you, because it gets you out of your zone and helps you bring some other colors into your designs. We also have the non-jewelry and expansion kit, which non-jewelry and findings expansion, which helps you make some items that are like not pieces of jewelry with your beads. So things like sun catchers or keychains, those kind of things. It also has you make some of your own findings. We made a bail, which I'm actually wearing my necklace. So last week we made this bail. I showed you how to do that. And then we made a necklace for our project. So that was the non-jewelry and findings kit, okay? We also have the Sun and Sea deck, which is all things beachy summery vacation. So that's a great one if you're starting to wind up for the summer. That one could be used alone, but you know, it's a very limited quantity of cards. So you'll run out of projects pretty soon. And then we have the Desert Southwest deck, which is similar. It's things from the Desert Southwest, things from Arizona, New Mexico, things from the cultures that are here, as well as the natural things that are around here. Okay, so that's what's in that deck. And for several of those, I also have bead mixes and other things to go with them that'll make it a little easier to use. If you're interested in any of that, I can go over any of that with you. All right, so that's in addition to our fun kits that we make. All right, so let's find out what we're gonna make this week. I'm glad you look forward to making the purple one, Lorraine. So I probably won't do a live of that one because it's pretty much the same as the one we did last weekend, because it's chain and beads, okay? So we are going to make an eyeglass or mask holder this week. All right. And what are we going to use? Okay, so used cards are the things we're going to pull out of our stash. And you'll see my number of cards is very low here. We will also be flipping those over. I draw 3, you can draw 1, you can draw 5, you know, it's completely up to you. I think 3 is provides a good challenge. All right, so what are we going to use with our eyeglass holder? We're going to use red. All right, now see, red is not a color I go to for making jewelry, so if I didn't have this I wouldn't do it. We're going to use a hook clasp in our design. All right. My cards are always upside down. And we're going to use glass beads in our design. So glass beads could be artisan-made glass beads, or it could be crystals, or it could be seed beads, you know, anything that's made out of glass, okay? All right. You do on the red, I see. All right, and challenge is our last cards, and like I said, I'm flipping over this deck, the rest of the challenges this day. But challenge cards add a theme or a design aspect to what we're making, just to make it a little more challenge. Sometimes I actually find, though, that these things help me focus rather than it being a challenge. Other times it's a bit of a challenge. So, all right, so we're going to do something inspired by the Grand Canyon. So, you know, you could go a lot of directions with this card. So, for instance, the Grand Canyon's in Arizona, so anything Arizona would work, you know, that reminds you of Arizona. So, our Arizona card on last week, we added a little cactus to our design, right? The Grand Canyon, you know, you also look at all the colors that are, if you look at pictures of the Grand Canyon, the colors that are there are, you know, oranges, purples, the rocks change different colors depending on the time of day you're taking pictures. If you've ever been to the Grand Canyon, you know that also there's lots of pine trees around there, which people find amazing. But as you move towards the Grand Canyon, you're moving up towards Colorado and Utah and, you know, northern New Mexico, the mountains up there. And so that's why there's pine trees, you know, there's water in the Grand. So there's like all sorts of ways you can use this card for inspiration. All right. So that's what we're going to make this week, is a Grand Canyon themed eyeglass or mask holder. We're going to use red, which, like I said, can work with the Grand Canyon. The depending on the time of day, the rocks can look really red or pink. We're going to use glass beads, and we're going to use a hook clasp in our design. So that's what we're going to do. And the reason I have lots of make cards is because we recently reshuffled those, okay? So what I do is I set them aside because I want to make sure you guys see everything at least once. And the fact that we're flipping over our challenge cards and our use cards, and we recently flipped over the other card, means that we have used every card that's in all of those decks, okay? So that's exciting, huh? All right, so have you ever thought about what do you do with hearts after Valentine's Day? Well, I still think hearts are good year-round. And hearts come in every different color. Like I said, that was another thing that at the gem show, there was tons of hearts. All right. So, for instance, we have these green. These are dyed jade. And I know they're dyed because, well, first of all, the color was pretty much a giveaway. But I don't know if you can see it, but the cord that it's on is green. So that proves that those were dyed. But that's okay. As long as you know that, you know. But this would also work with other things. Maybe I don't know if we'll show other colors, but like, you know, here's some glass hearts, crystal hearts. I don't know what the shade is. I actually think this color may be the same color as our cactus. I think it's a magic green, which is not. It would go okay with these magic purple. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what color this is. It was pretty in the light when I bought it, so But I have hearts in all sorts of different shades. I am one of those people, quite honestly, that, you know, I'm fine with wearing hearts around Valentine's Day, but my hearts aren't necessarily going to be red or pink. I happen to be wearing some clear earrings. You know, I have purple ones on my wrist. But, you know, like Christmas, I like to make Christmas stuff, you know, with turquoise or, you know, not everything red and green. So, anyways, all right, so I was messing around. So I thought one of the cool things you can do with hearts is kind of make a fleur-leaf clover. Lorraine, so I got these at the gem show, but you can get several colors in shorter strands from Kay on her website. I don't know if that's one of the colors she offers or not. Anyways, but we are going to show you how to make these shamrocks today. I made the stem, I thought, a little long on this one, but, you know, it'd be a fun pendant. I actually, you know, tried 2 different ways in making these, and I think we're going to stick with this one. And like I said, maybe we'll shorten it a little bit, but the biggest difference, so this one was made with multiple pieces of wire, and you can tell that because I have ends. I have 1, 2, 3, technically 4 ends, okay, because I did use one long piece there. So actually these 2 were on 1 piece of wire, and these 2 and all of this is on the 2nd piece of wire. Okay, this one I did all on 1 piece of wire, and you can see because I went around the sides of all of these, and well, other than I think I made the stem too long. I can't say that I definitely like one better than the other. I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to show you the 2-wire method. And I really don't need to get these out yet, but we'll get out. I'm just using some seed beads for my stem. I have these giant tubes of 2 different sizes of beads. So I have size 6s and 8s. Yeah. So let's set that side. All right, so we're going to do the 2-wire method. So I'm using 22 gauge. I would recommend using 22 or 24 gauge, especially if you're going to use smaller hearts. If you're using bigger ones, maybe you could get by with it. But I also, you know, I made, I basically made a couple of head pins. I really only need 1 of those. Since we just did that last weekend, I'm not going to show it again. And then I'm going to cut just, I don't know, I'm winging it, but I'm going to say about 10 inches. Of wire here. Now you could make the connection come out the top of one of these hearts as opposed to in between. I don't know what. Let me try that. So we need some round nose pliers, and then I am going to make a wrap loop, so I do need, you know, my normal chain nose and all that goes with it. All right. So I'm going to make a wrap loop, but I kind of want a long stem, we're going to try it a little different, okay? We'll see how it works. All right, so I am going to make a wrap loop. So we turn 90 degrees, flip our wire around there, turn the pliers slightly so that they're off to the side, and then I'm bringing this out at a 90-degree angle. I have a nice loop up there, and then I am just going to wrap this. Since it's 22 gauge, I can use my fingers all the way up until the end. Now I want this, I don't know, let's see. I'm still making up my mind. Okay. I'm going to take, do you want me to show you how to make one with the loop between the top, so your 4 leaves are kind of like that, or with a loop coming out of one of those, which means your pendant would hang a little sideways? Actually, I think it has to go in the top. We'll do the one we had here, okay? Just keep things simple. All right, so now that I have my wrap loop, I really don't need any of these tools other than this guy for a while, okay? So I want this loop to be between, probably didn't get that tucked in enough, sorry. I'm ending up doing this a little different because I actually added a piece of wire, okay? But I am going to come up from the bottom, and then about the length of the side of the heart, I am going to just flip that up, okay? And actually, wait. I'm going to take that back off, but now we have our bend in there. All right. So we're going to take one of our other hearts. We're going to stick one of our head pins through here. And then you guys that know when I make my little creatures, I am going to make a very small loop at the bottom there. And I am going to slide that onto my my wire up to where that bend was, okay? And now we're gonna put this back on here. All right. So we've got two hearts here. And I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but this is what we're going to do. Now I'm going to take that short wire and I'm going to put another heart on. And then I am going to do just one of those rolled loops. So I'm going to cut this to about 1/2 inch. And then we are just going to take our round nose pliers, and I am just going to keep twisting that until it's nice and tight there. Now, you know, you can always tighten it up later, all right? All right, so now I am going to take my long wire. I'm going to bring it down the side, one of the sides of the heart. Yeah, I'm actually bring it down the side by the wrapped loop. All right. So I now have 3 hearts on here. All right. So I've got my wrapped loop. I've got these 2 hearts that are on one wire, and then I brought that wire around there. I know this is not, and then I am just going to wrap it under there, and I am going to wrap it around the bottoms, you know, the middle part here. Come on, there we go. This is really hard to show because I have to kind of hold it onto it at the same time that I'm doing it. All right. So all I did was do a little wrapping around there. We're going to do more. All right, let me see if I can kind of pull this tight so I can show you what we've got now. It really doesn't matter which way you wrapped that. But the important thing is now we're going to put our 4th heart on, and things will get a little easier after we get this other heart on there because it just kind of tightens everything up. All right. So now I think I am going to take this between these hearts, and I'm just going to do a little wrapping around that middle to tighten things up. All right, so just going to go twice around the middle, and then I'm going to go sideways. And I am really just trying to tighten this all up. And then I want to end up with my end of my wire going down the opposite of my wrapped loop, okay? Now these guys are a little loose, but let's, we can always add more wire if we need to. So now we're going to add the stem. So you can make the stem however long or short you want. I thought it was good. So right now I'm going to end up with a few beads here. So I'm going to put small beads on to go through. Go between these, between the hearts, okay? So that's what it looks like there. And I'll add like one more, and then I'm going to go to these bigger beads. And let's put on, see if that's a good length. I think it is. I don't want to go any further than that, I don't think so. All right, so now I am just going to, I'm going to pop this out a little so it's away from, so there's a little space in here. so that I have room to wrap. So I am going to just take this wire back up and I'm going to wrap it around here to strengthen up our stem. All right. And that's why I had to pull it out a little so that I can get my hands in here. All right. And now, let's see, I was wrapping this way, so once I'm up here, closer to the top, so those beads did get pushed up. You know how, when you make something and it comes out, it's like, oh, that's cool, and then when you try to make it again, it doesn't work as well? That's kind of where we are. Let me see if I can loosen that a little bit. But wires for giving up to a point. If you make it go back and forth too much, it will break. So, all right. So what I'm trying to do is hold those beads a little further down. Yeah, that's as good as it's gonna get. All right, so now I'm just gonna wrap this around, and it's kind of like when we do some of our little animals. It's like just wrap until you run out of wire. Okay. Hey, Marianica, we are making a shamrock today. So I'm making a mess. Yes, I am definitely making a mess here. All right, like I said, I'm just wrapping this wherever around the pieces until it gets tight. When it gets down small, grab the end with your pliers and pull it. All right. Well, we've got a shamrock with a little spike there. Now this one, my loop ended up being a little bit low. So you'd need a bail or jump ring to attach that to something. So I am using 22 gauge wire. This is just regular copper wire. It's not even craft wire. But I think it'll make a cute pendant. I like the little slightly shorter stem. Like I said, I think this one, the stem was too long. I think it would look better if I cut the stem off about there. Anyways, yeah, there's multiple ways to do this. And like I said, if you want to do just one piece of wire, what you would do is come through the bottom. Let's see, that's the one. So on this one, what I did was I made this, well, actually I didn't make the loop first, but maybe I did. Because, oh, I know what I did. So I made a tiny loop, and then I started up through these wire, or through the bead, and then I just went through one and around that, and then I went up and through and around and up and through and around. Maybe I could show you that real quick, because it might be easier, because that didn't seem to work as well. All right, because, you know, I need more. I need more shamrocks, apparently. All right, so we'll show you how to make it with one piece of wire. You know what, my comments on one thing are really... Anyways, so I use 22 gauge. So if you're going to use just one piece of wire, I would cut at least a foot. Let me see what... I am just eyeballing this, but we'll measure it and see what we're... If you're using smaller hearts, I would probably use... now, if you use 22 gauge craft wire, it's a little softer than my copper wire from the hardware store. So you can use it with slightly smaller hearts. Okay, so I ended up cutting 18 inches for this one. We're going to show you the single method, and it may be easier. So what I did was first thing I did was I made a little tiny one of these, one of our loops, okay? And that needs to be at the pointy end of one of your hearts, because that's going into the middle. So, see how that is? All right, now I'm holding on to the heart. I am going to take the wire around the side, and I'm going to bring it down and wrap it around this loop, okay? Now I'm putting on the next one, and you're always going to put these hearts on from the pointy end, okay, as you're doing this. And I'm going to always go back towards the previous heart, okay, when I wrap it. And I'm just wrapping it around those connections. So right now I have that little loop, and I have two hearts on, and I've now come out the side, and again we're going on at the pointy end. Pointy end. All right, and I am going to wrap it down the side, and you may have to like twist these a little bit, and then I'm just wrapping around the bottom so that, you know, this is on there nice and tight. Why that one's... So, you know, if you were going to do a three loose clover, you could stop there. But now I'm putting on my fourth one, again from the pointy end. And it's on there. So I'm going down this same side. Now this time I can just, you know, go around the center, all right? So now you've got this. So I am going to do a wrapped loop up here, right? So I'm gonna go to right where the top or you know what, I might put the stem down there, which means I'm gonna wrap one more time. I'm gonna go up, so I'm sticking out opposite that, okay? So to make my loop, I am going to take my pliers and I'm going to make my 90 degrees right at the top of where those beads are. All right, and then I am going to make my loop. So I've got a loop. And I am going to push this back a little ways, or you know, so it's out, so that I can wrap this. And I just want to wrap it down a little ways so that, and then I want the wire to be sticking out in the opposite direction that I bent that, okay? So now I've brought my loop back up, so it's in between there, and then I am going to pull the wire down, and I'm going to go ahead and do one more wrap. All right, so I'm just wrapping around the middle at this point. Okay, so I've got my 4-leaf clover, and I've got a nice loop at the top. And now we can put our stem on. And I guess, you know, you don't necessarily have to have a stem. I like it with the stem, but all right, but let's see if we can get this so that it fits nicely between the beads. So I think I'm going to put like 4 of these size 8s, and then let's just put a couple of these size 6s on and see if that's a long enough. Think that's a long enough stem. Maybe one more. We will put one more of these beads on. All right. All right, then I am going to take my wire and turn it back up, and then I'm wrapping around the stem. I like to, you know, kind of go between the beads, but you don't have to go between every bead. You're just strengthening it back up at this point. And then as soon as I get up near the top, I'm going to tuck that guy, try to tuck that stem in. And I am going to do another wrap here, and that should be good. And I am going to trim it. And we need to use some longer pliers here, but I just want to tuck that end in there. All right. Okay, so that was the 1-wire method, which actually I think was a little cleaner. It's just, it ends up with a lot more wire in the middle. Going to move some of this wire off to the side so it looks a little less, I don't know, there you go. Put those out of the way. So we've got the 1-wire version of the shamrock, and we've got the multiple wire version of the shamrock. And you can just, like I said, use a little bail or a jump ring and attach that on a chain, or you could put it on a keychain or something. But you've got your St. Patty's Day clovers using hearts. All right, so that was our fun bonus project for this week. So we will be back on Thursday. We're going to make our eyeglass or mask holder. We are going to use a hook clasp. We are going to use glass beads. We are going to use red. And we are going to design something inspired by the Grand Canyon. Okay. And before I flip the camera, again, last day for sale on the website, but if you contact me directly, I will still give you the discounts through the end of the month. So single item, New Year 26, 26% off, double fun, 30% off, bundle 35, 35% off at desertcatcreations.square.site. All right. The links to the webpage are in all of our about pages. And those coupons are good on all of our kits, our cards, and our bead mixes or metal mixes or whatever that goes with the cards, right? So, alrighty. I might have to add one of these to a chain, but although I'm actually going to be out of town for St. Patrick's Day. So it is what it is. All right. We will be back Thursday noon Mountain Time. And we're getting close to you guys all going on daylight savings again, which messes us up with our timing starting that first weekend of March. So just keep that in mind. I'll try to remind you that we will be an hour later. Because I will be on Pacific time as opposed to Mountain time for you for the summer. All right. Not to get distracted. All right. Thanks as always. Please like and follow Desert Cat Creations on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube. After 30 days, the only place you'll find the videos will be on YouTube. I do try to move them over there within the next day or two. So if you're looking for something and can't find it in Facebook, you can should be able to find it over there. And if you have any problems, just reach out to me. I'm happy to respond to your messages. I think if you comment on Facebook or on YouTube, it will send me an email, so you may get the response via email, or I may respond to you directly on the video there. We'll see. And then you can always direct message Desert Cat Creations if you have any questions or are interested in finding out more about any of our products. So I will be back Thursday. Hope you all have a great week. If you're in those places where you're having winter weather, stay warm. We're actually going to be in the 50s this week, so we are experiencing a little bit of weather for us. We have snow up on the mountain because we got rain this week, so that's always exciting for us. So, all right. Stay warm, stay safe, and we will see you all on Thursday.